Pedro Padilla is actually on the right. The deck name will come up here in just a moment. It is Mono Green Tron. A little software error there, but ignoring that, we're going to watch this game in speed mode, as here's a Sylvan Scrying. This first game might go by real fast because now Pedro does have all three pieces of the Tron. Cat kicked things off with a Noble Hierarch and just a couple of lands there. That's a Walking Ballista. Spell Queller is going to come down after Walking Ballista took care of the Noble Hierarch.
So this is path or bust.
Pretty much.
Padilla does not need anything else from here other than, making your land drops to completely lock Cat out of the game.
Well, Mausoleum Wanderer is going to come down, as will Supreme Phantom. Now the goal is to try to race in the air, but that's going to be pretty difficult because of the power of just having the lands in combination with Walking Ballista.
Yeah, the map gets you up to 10 mana if you have to, for next turn if you have to use it, and Padilla already has an extra tower rolled up here.
Well, Walking Ballista kind of powers up and then shoots down the Supreme Phantom. A little surprised that Pedro didn't get in some damage with an attack there.
No, because Cat had a Mausoleum Wanderer back to block. And Padilla went down to 1 on the Ballista.
Well, I'm saying you can pump it up a bunch first and then attack.
Oh, sure.
Want, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Looks like a Selfless Spirit is now on the battlefield here. Cat trying to play through this Walking Ballista, but again, it's going to be very, very difficult with all the mana that Pedro has access to.
Yeah, if you're a Banned Spirits player, you're kind of hoping to keep your opponent off balance by preventing them from resolving something significant. And the issue here from Light's perspective is Padilla can just does not have to cast another spell for the rest of the game. You can totally do it, manage everything through the Ballista as long as Light isn't able to spike a bunch of spirits in a row.
Well, add a counter to the Ballista, remove a counter to shoot down Mausoleum Wanderer. And now here's a Karn. Jeez. So Karn will trigger the Sanctum. Karn will eat the Spell Queller, and we will continue to play some Magic here. For Cat to be able to get back in this. Is that what we're doing? Well, we could call it that. For Cat to be able to get in this game, it's going to need to be land 4 and collect a company. Ideally multiple. And doesn't have it, so that'll be a very quick concession. Cat will go to the sideboard notes. Pedro going to do some sideboarding as well. Unfortunately for Banned Spirits players like Cat, this matchup is just very, very difficult.
Fortunately for Cat, though, she does have a real sideboard with 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Geist's Insane Draft, and if you want to count it as being for this matchup, 2 Knight of Autumn and an extra Path to Exile. Sure. So that's a real sideboard.
That's pretty real. That's pretty real. Hard to argue with that. For Pedro, it doesn't have to change a ton. The sideboard's pretty standardized here. 4 Thragtusk, 3 Thought-Knot Seers, 2 Surgical Extractions, 2 Spatial Contortions, 3 Nature's Claim, and a Grafdigger's Cage. So probably just the Spatial Contortions, if that.
Yeah, I like the Contortions here. I'm not a huge fan of the creatures because they don't block very effectively. I like the creatures a lot more in matchups where, 1, they get to block, and 2, you have reason to believe your opponent is playing with cards like Ghost Quarter or ways to break up your Tron, such that you need 4 and 5 mana plays to sort of fill out the space while you're trying to reassemble Tron. Banned Spirits really rarely has those kind of cards. Mm-hmm. You are going to go get to your Tron, so it's just better to overpower them with the big stuff than try to play some creatures that don't really block or interact effectively.
Well, Cat will be on the play. It's going to have to be a pretty good one to get things started.
But again, post-board, she gets to get rid of some of the fidgety stuff that doesn't interact the right way and actually have some real hard counters in Disdainful Stroke and some real disruption in Damping Sphere. A lot of her tools game 1 just don't do anything against Tron, and post-board she gets to cut some of that stuff for stuff that can actually interact the right way.
Yeah, some real cards, as it were, which is ideal. Looks like Pedro going to take a mulligan. See if he can find a better hand. He's already found a really good matchup. How good do you think Tron is in this metagame?
Would not be my first choice, but I respect it as a call.
Yeah. Mulligan to 5 now here for Pedro. It's 2 players we've already seen with it in the feature match area. I was a little surprised. It does have a really good Dredge matchup.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good the Is It Phoenix matchup is. Oh, well, down to 4.
I mean, Relic is not as good against Phoenix as it is against Dredge, of course, but it's not nothing.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not really excited about it. I'd probably sideboard it out. All right, going to leave it on top with the Scry. Now there's a Noble Hierarch. So that's the kind of start that Cat wants. Get to the battlefield very quickly. And via the Breeding Pool and Noble Hierarch. Pedro with an Urza's Mine and Expedition map. So even though Tron has Mulligan down to 4, can still have Tron on turn 3. I believe that may be a Geist of St. Traft.
Yep.
Yep. Now there's a Vial post-combat. Yeah, and this game's just going to be over before it starts, really.
Yeah, with Padilla playing a Forest last term, not threatening to have Tron on 3, and Light having significant pressure in Geist of St. Traft. Remember, Geist of St. Traft does work with Exalted. That is a little bit confusing, but when the Noble Hierarch looks, there is only the one attacker, which is the Geist of St. Traft itself. Then the Geist trigger resolves, you get the Angel. So Padilla's correctly at 13 right now. And, you do 7 again and then 7 again.
There's an Ancient Stirrings. That'll actually resolve. So top 5 cards. See what this finds here in just a moment. Looks like it found a Chromatic Sphere. Not exactly what the doctor ordered. That'll be a Spatial Contortion on the Hierarch. All right. One counter on the Vial. Head back over to Cat. Here's an attack for 6. Pedro will fall down to 7. Another Vial. An additional turn could be all the difference. Here's another Stirrings. Doesn't look like Pedro found the tower.
Remember, Pedro here facing lethal the following turn.
Power plant, yes. Chromatic Sphere past the turn back. Pedro at 7. Down to 1 now. Now there's another Sphere. Crack that, draw a card. Star. Crack that, draw a card. We're done. All right, so Cat's ideal start with a turn 2 Geist of St. Traft, and still that game was closer than one may think.
Yeah, against 4 cards.
Yeah. Which just kind of shows you how difficult the matchup is.
Yeah, Padilla didn't really do anything, but if one of those cards is a little different, if you're able to assemble a Tron on turn 3 or turn 4, any one of his major cards resolving is enough to take the game, even on 4 cards.
Yep. Do you like Bant Spirit's positioning in the metagame right now?
I do not.
Yeah?
I don't know, I suspect the Dredge and Is It Phoenix matchups are not good.
I'm not sure about the Dredge matchup. I think, game 1, you're probably a huge dog. Game 2 and game 3, you have Rest in Peace, whatever. Might get a little bit better, but not sure how your matchup is against. I'm not sure why your matchup against Is It Phoenix would be good. I guess I'll say that.
Right. I mean, they actually get to control the game in the air a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of both of their creatures are pretty fast and also can play defense when you're ahead. And that sounds like a really tough mixture of things to beat.
6 cards here for Pedro as we get ready here for game number 3. 5 cards. Well, this is one way to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Billidu, or Jacob Jinsparg.
Remember, we'll have round number 2 of action here for you in just a bit, but for now we watch our final match of round number 1 as Cat will kick things off with another copy of Noble Hierarch. Pedro on a mulligan to 5 with an Urza's Power Plant to start. A Buried Ruin and a Spatial Contortion will take care of the Noble Hierarch. That's a Forest and a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Chromatic Star for 2 mana, pass the turn back. Thalia will come across for 2. Pedro will fall down to 18. The follow-up will be a Geist of St. Traft. Basic Island plus a Temple Garden plus a Rising Canopy makes that possible.
Remember, the game doesn't really start for Padilla until he gets to Tron, so all these missed land drops are just a full turn before anything can happen.
Yep, and that is going to do it. Cat Light is going to steal this one off the power of